No one cares about this Gaia 2. Nice America doesn't care about this Gaia 2. They only care about every other this Gaia except 2 and 3. Come on, Nipponichi Software. You've remastered this Gaia 1 and 4. Why not 2? It's one of the best. It's my favorite. Well, my second favorite. I heard Atlus is making a remaster of Riviera the Promised Land for GBA. Do you know if that's true? I don't know if that's true. That's so random, man. Why, out of all the JRPGs Atlus has published in the West, why will they pick that? That seems like a completely random pick. Why not remaster their own games? All those old Shin Megami Tensei games, the Persona games 1, 2, and 3, especially, I mean, the second one. I didn't mean 3, I mean like 2 and 2. Eternal Punishment and Innocent Sin. Why not those? Why not all of those legendary Atlus games? No, instead, they just pull out of their asses one title like, which title should I remaster? The Persona games? Nah, nobody cares about those. The Shin Megami Tensei games? Nah, nobody cares about those. How about Riviera the Promised Land? Yeah, good idea, let's remaster that. Yeah, I don't think it's true, but if it is, that's so freaking random. Or it could be that maybe Atlus sold the rights to another company, or I don't know. Okay, so there's Yggdra Union. Remember Yggdra Union? Okay, it was published by Atlus on the Game Boy Advance and on the PSP. And then it was remastered for PC and on Switch. And that version, that remaster, was not published by Atlus. Atlus is not doing the remaster. It's probably the same company who remastered the Yggdra Union. I doubt Atlus is remastering themselves Riviera the Promised Land. I don't think so. Do I believe you that the Riviera remaster is coming? Yes, I do. Apparently, yeah, it's been confirmed. Okay, so it's happening, but I don't think Atlus is going to publish that. I doubt it. But yeah, speaking about the remaster, it's great news. Glad it's happening. I think it's one of the many old titles that are a bit forgotten. Hidden gem, definitely. And I'm happy, you know. I'm happy because I'd love to go back to that game one of these days. And for some reason, I don't feel like going back to the PSP or the original GBA version. I kind of would like to play the remastered version. I'll probably do the same with the Yggdra Union one of these days. Thing Entertainment remastered Yggdra Union themselves. So they're probably gonna remaster all of their games. Gongnir, maybe one day. Hexis Force! Come on, Hexis Force, damn it! That's the holy grail of the Department Heaven series, the most... Well, no. Wait a second, it is developed by Sting Entertainment, but it doesn't belong to the Department Heaven series. But it's an expensive motherfucker on the PSP, right? Yeah, that needs a remaster, man. So you think the gaming industry needs saving from that? It needs saving from environment, social standards, and governance? And reporting obligations that apply? Okay, I don't really... This is the first time I'm hearing about this, so I don't know exactly in detail what that entails. But if that's related to like censorship, and you mentioned social standards, like, you know, wokeness, somebody was mentioning wokeness, you know, if that's what pretty much in a nutshell is, then it definitely does saving from that. But like I said before, the entire entertainment industry needs saving from that, you know. It needs to be... I always believe that entertainment needs to be completely politics-free. It needs to be completely free from all of that. I mean, it's... To me, entertainment, art included, any form of art, it's supposed to be like the ultimate expression of freedom. Like the ultimate freedom of speech, free will. That's what entertainment entails to me. Like, you need to be completely free to be able to say and do whatever you want. And people need to decide for themselves if they want to watch it or not. So, like you say, if it's just about wokeness and shit, yeah. But I've been saying this for years. I remember all the way back in 2018 or 2019, I made a video saying the same, that these fucking people needed to go away from video games. But since video games became so huge, especially during the past several years, most likely the pandemic, for example, yeah, man, it just became such an enormous business and billionaire business, dare I say, a billionaire business. So obviously the government and social justice warriors and all that fucking people, all over it nowadays and want to control it because it's a great way nowadays to control the narrative, the political narrative, and like you say, standardize. That's a weird verb. Standardize their political beliefs. And nowadays we all know that the world is controlled by the left wing. So yeah, imagine. So I'm pretty sure it happened in Hollywood already. So if that's gonna happen, well, the rules, right? It's gonna be like you need to have at least one gay character in your game and several characters from different colors, races, and whatnot. And there's also gonna be more censorship, I guess. Sexualization, like fan service, I have no idea if that's gonna change. Like if it's gonna be more censored. Or it's gonna be all bunkers, women nowadays, right? I mean, no offense to women watching right now, but it's like you sexualize yourselves and then complain about being sexualized. Like, I don't understand, to be honest. And I see a lot of women complaining about that, but I also see a lot of women in favor of that. So, I don't know what standard is gonna be. I don't know if the rules are gonna be leaning towards one philosophy or the other. So I don't know what's gonna happen to fan service. Of course, there's probably going to be less swearing, maybe less blood and violence, I don't know. I will be more worried about censorship overall than anything else. But yeah, I mean, when it comes to wokeness, we've seen a lot of companies heading into that direction. Square Enix is the perfect example of that. I have no idea if Atlus is heading that way. Probably most of the major companies are going to head that way too. Some of the smaller ones have already done something similar, like Idea Factory. I'm going to stick to my anti-political beliefs. I believe, politics should stay the fuck away from entertainment, video games included, and I'm not going to support the ESG. Definitely not. Anyway, so yeah, the industry definitely needs saving from that, but it needs a lot of people. It needs like the really powerful people in the entertainment business to make a stand for it. To stand the fuck up and speak against it and try to fight it. Because people like me, all I can do is do this, what I'm doing right now, speak against it. But, I'm not one of the biggest influencers on YouTube. Far from it. I have no power. I'm just as weak and powerless as every single one of you. We need the big guns here. The people in power, to stand up against it. But most of the people in power are the ones creating this ESG bullshit, these left-wing shenanigans. So that's the state of the world nowadays. It's fucked up. Yeah, I watched the State of Play. Yeah, it was kind of disappointing for me. For me personally, I know it probably was a big deal for a lot of people. Third-person shooters and first-person shooters and survival horror games probably had a blast with it. I didn't give a shit about it. Most of the games that were announced in there, I don't care. I care about Stellar Blade. That's the one I cared about. Stellar Blade finally got a release date. I think it's going to be in April, if I remember correctly. And that's awesome. That's a game I'm looking forward to. Apparently, it's going to be an exclusive on the PlayStation 5 for now. I'll get it at some point once it's out in an affordable price. But to be completely honest, it's not like I'm dying to get my hands on it. It's not like, oh my god, I'm overly excited for it. I can't fucking wait for it. No. I'd say that for a Euden Chronicle or Trails Through Daybreak, or maybe East 10 if it gets released this year, or maybe the Fate Extra remake if it gets released this year. But Stellar Blade, I'm excited for it, but not that much, so I don't care that much for it. But my point is that was the highlight of State of Play for me personally. The rest of the games, like that running game, looks like a completely Sekiro ripoff. Dragon's Dogma 2, I guess it's interesting, but I never really went back to the original game on PS3 and PS4. I don't know, something about it turned me off and I never went back to it. I'd like to go back to Dragon's Dogma one day, but until I do, I don't think I care that much for its sequel. And what else was there? Apart from the Hideo Kojima game, what was the name? Death Stranding 2. I don't really give a shit about that. I'm not really a fan of Kojima. Never been a fan of Metal Gear. I think the only thing that I liked from Kojima is something he didn't even develop himself, only his company, and that's Konami. And that's Lunar Nights on the Nintendo DS, part of the Boktai series on the Game Boy Advance. Good games, you know, I care about those, kinda. But yeah, Hideo Kojima, not for me. And then what else was there? A bunch of first-person shooters. Square Enix doing a Fortnite ripoff. Fortnite, I forget the name of the other franchise. Splatoon, I think. So kind of like Fortnite meets Splatoon. And they made a big deal about it. And that's going to be published by Square Enix. I mean, I don't give a shit about that. So now this State of Play was kind of like not interesting for me personally. And Silent Hill, the game that's supposed to be free, it looks cool. It looks interesting, to be honest. I'm worried that the main character is a girl that looks like she's like on her teens. Like she's probably a high school girl. But well, what killed that game for me is the fact that it's on first person. I'm not really a fan of first person games at all, of any kind. Not even some RPGs, right? So nothing against them. It's just I get dizzy playing them. I get, I don't know, a little bit of motion sickness when I play like first person shooters or first person horror games. I remember trying Biohazard. I remember trying Amnesia, and I couldn't get past the first 15 to 20 minutes. You know, I'm like, man, yeah, not for me. So that's just me. But I'm glad, I'm glad Konami decided to release, well, some kind of spin-off, I guess, and completely free. Was it gonna be like a free-to-play game? I don't know about that, though. Anyway, what I do know is that the trailer looked interesting, horrific and whatnot. Silent Hill 2, the remake, looks fun and interesting. Obviously, it's now with shoulder controls, with Resident Evil 4 controls. So I'm not that interested on it, but, it's Silent Hill, and I'm a fan. I'm glad the series is back, at least in the form of a remake of the second game. So, Tokyo RPG Factory, guys. It's over. Unfortunately, it's over. What was Tokyo RPG Factory, for those who don't know? That was a subsidy, a small company that Square Enix subsidized. I think that's the term in English. Well, Tokyo RPG Factory became a subsidiary for Square Enix many years ago, and they developed I Am Setsuna, which was successful, partially successful, enough to merit more games. So Setsuna was a success. And Square Enix said, okay, yeah, let's give these guys the green light to create another game. So they made Lost Sphere. Lost Sphere, however, was not as successful, but it sold decently. So Square Enix was kind of like, okay, do another game. Well, this time an action RPG. Because Square Enix, they don't really believe in action, or turn-based RPGs anymore. At least not for Final Fantasy. But we don't want to get into that. Not today, guys. And then Oninaki happened in 2019, and that was a failure. Didn't sell very well, mixed reviews. I think it's a great game, and I do recommend it a lot. But didn't do very well. And in 2020, Square Enix reported some financial losses thanks to that studio, and to another studio that was led by Hideo Baba. That's right, the guy from Bandai Namco, the Tales guy. That guy. I don't know much about his studio. I think it's called Istolia or Istola, something like that. And they were going to do a game called Project whatever Rune. Never happened because now that company has been dissolved as well. So Square Enix this year announced that Tokyo RPG Factory is being dissolved. All of its employees are now going to be working for Square Enix, and Tokyo RPG Factory shall be no more. So they left us with 3 great games. I like all of them. Very recommended games, all of them. They didn't release a single bad game in my opinion. But yeah, that's the reality. When something doesn't sell, even if it's great, even if you guys like it, even if I like it, if it doesn't sell, it's out. It's just business as usual. If something is unprofitable and it's making a company lose money, it makes sense. So yeah, unfortunately, Tokyo RPG Factory didn't make it, and it's gone. Kinda like Careersoft. Remember Careersoft, the developers of Grow Lancer and Langrisser? The same happened. Grow Lancer, the last titles failed miserably in sales, and Atlus said, well, you know, guys, your company's over, but we're going to absorb you. So at least I'm happy to know that the Tokyo RPG Factory employees still have a job, and will still be able to create video games and work on video games. But yeah, it's sad news that they won't be able to create these JRPGs that, well, were kind of like love letters to the classics. All of their games looked kind of retro, like remastered retro games. And yeah, it's a tragedy, but it's a reality. If something doesn't sell, it's over. Simple as that. So long live Tokyo RPG Factory, and at least the guys still have a job. Yeah. Sorry about the news, guys. And you want to hear even some more bad news? Some more bad news? Well, this is out. This has been out for a long time, but I didn't know. I mean, I don't know why I found out about it just recently, a couple of weeks ago, and I forgot to mention the previous Q&A. And I was like, man, I was almost devastated. Yeah. So, you know Project Cross Zone, right? You know I'm a freaking big fan of those two games, and I know a lot of you are fans of those games too. So I've always wanted a Project Cross Zone 3, and many years ago there were rumors that the game was going to include characters from Capcom, more characters from Capcom, like Bayonetta, for example, was going to be there. And the developers were excited to have a character like Bayonetta, which was very popular back in the day. Well, this was all the way back in 2016, and 2016 went by, 17, 18, 19, 20. I mean, it's been, what, like 7-8 years, and no Project Cross Zone 3. So, do you want to know why? Because 7 years ago, yeah, I think it was about 7 years ago, two of the key developers of those games, Namco Cross Capcom, Project Cross Zone, Endless Frontier 1 and 2, you know, the Super Robot Tyson games, well, they quit Monolith Soft. And I didn't know that. And you know, it suddenly all made sense to me. I was like, so these two guys, the director of those games, quit Monolith Soft. So, yeah. So that's why we will probably never see a Project Cross Zone 3. Now we know after all these years. Some of you probably already knew, but I'm guessing most of you were like me, you didn't know. So these two key developers of those games quit Monolith Soft. I don't even know where they are right now, or what company do they work for. I have no idea what these guys are doing, but they quit the company, so chances are we will never see Project Cross Zone 3. Another piece of devastating news. Goodbye, these guys. Goodbye, Project Cross Zone. Goodbye, Tokyo RPG Factory. Sad news, everybody. Sad fucking news. Anyway, back to your goddamn questions. Am I looking forward for that Shadow Hearts sequel? It's not a sequel, it's a spiritual successor. It's Penny Blood. And of course, I supported the project, the Kickstarter. I interviewed the developer, the creator of Shadow Hearts. You can find my interview with that guy. What was his name? So many Japanese names in my head right now. I was thinking about Tokyo RPG Factory and the guys from Project Cross Zone. I'm trying to remember their names. Damn. But anyway, Matsusu Machida. That's the creator of Shadow Hearts. I interviewed him. Like on a Zoom call. Yeah! Oh man. I also interviewed the guy, the creator of Wild Arms, Akifumi Kaneko, but that was a written interview. I didn't meet him face to face, you know. Too sad because he doesn't show his face. Nobody knows what he looks like, except the people who work with him, of course, in Japan. But anyway, I interviewed the creator of Shadow Hearts, and I asked him questions about Penny Blood. You can find my interview in this channel, Eric Land RPG. And you'll see it there. So of course I'm looking forward to it. Hopefully it will be released next year, or maybe this one. Who knows? This year will. Apparently we're getting spiritual. No, some like spin-off, some kind of spin-off, some kind of roguelike RPG. I'm not sure if I'm interested on it, but I'll check it out. But yeah, of course I'm interested in the spiritual successor, Penny Blood. Which one is the one that led Square Enix to certain mediocrity? Enix or Squaresoft? I don't think it was either. It's more like the geniuses in Square Enix. I mean, the people in Squaresoft who had a brain and real talent quit the company. Sakaguchi, Kato, Uematsu, this other guy, Takahashi. So you see, all the smart, really talented people, visionaries, they quit the company. So I think that's... Well, if you want to blame someone, blame Squaresoft. Because it was still called Squaresoft when those guys quit. And then the movie happened, right? Final Fantasy Spirits Within, which was a failure, and we all know the story.